What is going on, Niner fans? Today was a big day with the 49ers. It was the end of the season press conference with John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. I know you guys have seen all the news, all the information that's going out there. We're going to talk about it. Finally home. We're going to recap everything. There was a lot of big news, a lot of news that people weren't too happy about. There's some news that people were happy about. A lot of news. And before this stream happened, just before we came live, Ronnie Bell was released from the practice squad. He gone. Ronnie Bell. Listen, the 49ers are really not playing games this year. This offseason, the 49ers front office is saying, look, we need to fix what was broken, and we need to fix it. They're getting rid of things that are, issues this year. And first and foremost, let's talk about it. The 49ers confirmed that they fired defensive coordinator Nick Sorensen from that position. They let him be relieved of his duties as defensive coordinator. Now, the kick is he's not off the team. He's still under contract with the 49ers. So Nick Sorensen is still on the Niners. They'd like to keep him. That's what Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch said today. Again, they hope that he can be maybe the special teams coordinator. So they're interviewing him for that position. He's been a special teams coach before with the Jaguars. Like, that's his thing. He was a special teamer in the NFL when he played in the NFL, as a player. So, he's got special teams experience, but he wasn't a good special teams coach. But I don't think he's a good coach to begin with. But they're demoting him. Now, the thing that's crazy to me is, they don't want to get him off this team. I guess Kyle really likes Nick Sorensen. He talked about it. He goes, it was a hard decision. That's my guy. I really, enjoy the guy. But it's like, man, at some point, you got to cut the cord. But, the Niners, they're loyal to people, I guess, to a fault. Kyle Shanahan, I guess, And the other big news of the day, earlier this morning, according to Josina Anderson, the 49ers are going to or are expected to give the defensive coordinator position to Robert Saleh. We know Robert Saleh has some head coaching interviews lined up with the Jaguars. He has a head coaching job. And, I mean, that's probably a good spot for Robert Saleh, right? The Jaguars, you got some good weapons on that offense. Brian Thomas Jr., they have a quarterback. They got some good pieces on the defense. They're in a very easy division. They're in a cupcake division. So I feel like Robert Saleh would take that job with the Jaguars. It's a lot of money for a head coaching job. He's still getting paid from the Jets too. And you know what else is, again, he's got an easy job here with the Jets. But the only downside is if you're at the Jaguars, you got to be with Trent Baalke, the GM. And he ruins coaches and teams. And do you really want to stick around with Baalke? I don't know. So I feel like Saleh could take that Jaguars job. But if not, the 49ers are saying, here you go. But if you're going to give him a DC job, you got to pay him a lot because the Jaguars, I'm sure, are going to pay him a lot of money. And it's a tax-free state in Florida. So there's going to be some questions there. Now, the other guy, again, Kyle Shanahan likes to promote from within. He likes to keep the in-house hirings. This one was something that most Niner fans did not like. Brandon Staley, yes, the assistant GM, is an internal candidate to become the 49ers defensive coordinator. I pray that it's Robert Saleh and it's not Brandon Staley. If the 49ers hire Brandon Staley as their defensive coordinator and then they just move Nick Sorensen to special teams coordinator, did they improve? I don't think so. What did they improve? You need to go out and hire some big guns. There's a lot of coaches out there. Gus Bradley. You got freaking Robert Saleh, which we just mentioned. There's Jeff Ulbrich from the Jets. Like, there are some really good candidates out there. If you're going to promote Brandon Staley as your defensive coordinator, prepare to get roasted, Kyle. I hope that it's not Brandon Staley. Like, again, Kyle likes these guys. He wants to be loyal. He wants to be with the team, and he doesn't want to change up the wide nine situation. If you're going to keep the wide nine, you better bring back Robert Saleh. I expect nothing less. But again, he does have head coaching interviews right now. So, my man Steven Reynolds says when Sorensen was the special teams coach with the Jaguars, they were ranked the 31st or 32nd team. It's bad. It was bad. He was not a good special teams coach. 100%. We all understand he was not a good special teams coach. So, now flip side to the offensive side of the thing, Kyle Shanahan has promoted Clay Kubiak to the offensive coordinator role. This is big. Actually, it kind of shows that Kyle might, strip away a little bit of his ego to say we need some help on offense. Let me get a guy that can help design some new plays or here and there. Give me some creativity. Now, Kyle's still going to call the plays, but now you have Kubiak has a little bit more responsibility. He called the last game of the season against the Arizona Cardinals. Now, I think Kyle treated it as a preseason game, but he did promote Clay Kubiak to the offensive coordinator. I think that's huge. Honestly, I think he needed some help. He needed an offensive coordinator. Everybody's been sitting here saying, go get an OC. Now, I know Kyle's still in charge of calling plays, but I'm sure as time goes on and he becomes more comfortable with Kubiak and he gets more trust with him, I think he's going to let him call more. I really think it's more of a, okay, you got the position. Now let's see what you can do to help me. Can you get me some creativity? I'm going to give you some free reign and call some plays. So there is optimism in my eyes with this offense. And I really think that this is a huge move for the 49ers and Kyle Shanahan. Like, this was, to me, very refreshing to hear Kyle Shanahan say, hey, look, we're going to hire this guy. We've liked him on this team, but we're going to hire him as the offensive coordinator. I thought it was good. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if he's still calling plays. I think it does matter because now you have another guy that's going to take some pressure off of Kyle. They can be in meetings and they can watch the film, and Kubiak can be like, yo, let's design some plays like this for Debo, or let's design some plays like this for Ricky Pearsall. And Kyle's like, oh, I didn't see it that way. Thank you for the advice. I really think that having Kubiak as the OC is going to help immensely, like tremendously, because Kyle was doing the same little thing every day. It was like the same Kyle playbooks. Like, it was like, okay, we need a little bit of creativity. So maybe this guy's going to give him a fresh perspective, and then Kyle's still going to call the play in, but he's going to give him some new plays. Like, okay, now my playbook has a couple extra plays on this formation. It has a couple extra plays on this formation. I'm looking at the situation. Oh, you remember that play you told me about, Clay? I'm going to use that one. Let's call that one. So I think it's good. But that's the OC position. Still don't know what's going to happen with the DC. It better not be Brandon Staley. I think we're all going to riot. But that's the coaching situation that we're in. So I know Brian Griese got an opportunity to go interview for the Jets head coaching job. We haven't heard anything about that. Hopefully Brian Griese can stay with the 49ers. He is the quarterback's coach. I don't want to lose him because then you're going to have to replace him. So let's hope that they don't lose him. Take a look at some questions. Let's see. Yeah, my man Throwback says, it looks like Debo is back next year. Yeah, so Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch, they talked about certain players that will be back, that won't be back. There's been a lot of speculation of Debo Samuel. John Lynch said, hey, we're not in the business of getting rid of good players. Now, I laughed at that quote because I was like, some good players before. You kind of got rid of Defoe. You got rid of DJ Jones. Like, it's a business. I'm not going to sit here and take what he just said to the grave. Like, sometimes you got to get rid of good players. But from what John Lynch is saying, hey, we don't have any intentions right now in getting rid of Debo Samuel because there's speculation. I'm sure if the price comes, if there's someone wants to come and trade him a really high draft pick, they might do it. But right now, Debo remains on the team. It looks like they want him back. They really like Debo. We all know Kyle loves Debo. But John Lynch says we're not in the business of trading good players we're not in the business of getting rid of good players, right? And they like Debo. But he also said this right after they talked about Javon Hargrave, which they're going to release Javon Hargrave after the post-June 1st designation because his cap hit is crazy. We mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. They're going to release Javon Hargrave, but they do want to bring him back. So it's basically, hey, we want you back, but you better take a pay cut because we're not paying you the crazy amount of money we're paying you. So we're going to release you, save some money. If you want to come back, cool. You can go look at other teams. You're going to be a free agent. If another team wants you, hallelujah, I love you. Go and do what you got to do. But if you can't find a market, Javon Hargrave, we'll welcome you back, but for a fraction of a price. Kind of like what they did with Arik Armstead. It was, they said, hey, look, man, we want to keep you. We're going to lower your contract. Do you want to stay? Oh, you don't like that? Go find another team. If you can find another team to pay you, go for it. And, of course, the Jaguars paid him an arm and a leg, which was crazy. And now Jaguars fans are crying, how do we get rid of this guy? He didn't even play this year. So same situation that we kind of felt with Armstead through the years was he didn't play a lot, because he got hurt down the stretch. He's good when he's in, but he also was an injury risk. So the Niners knew that because of the games he's missed. So they said, hey, we want to keep you, but at a fraction of a price. And I think they're going to do that with Hargrave. They're going to say, hey, look, you're cut from the team. You can go wherever the hell you want. If you can't figure out a place, you're welcome back. Because that's what the Niners do, right? They cut these guys. They bring them back. Practice squad. They cut them. They bring them back. Dante Johnson, Ronnie Bell. It's the revolving door. Jordan Matthews. They've done this many, many times to these players. They cut, release, and they bring them back. So Javon Hargrave could be that type of guy for the 49ers. But, hey, hopefully he finds a team that can pay him lots of money, and hopefully it's not the 49ers. They wasted a lot of money on this guy. I was excited when they got him, but it didn't work out. So, yeah, Debo probably going to be back. Well, according to them, he will be. Hargrave, he gone. You know who else? They're not sure yet. So, Dre Greenlaw, let's talk about it. So, they did address the TikTok videos, the posts that we made viral, of course, all the stuff from the girlfriends and the wives, all the social media posts. And they're like, look, nobody knows what's going to happen. We don't know. Dre doesn't know. Sometimes significant others, they hear things. They don't believe things. We don't know what's going to happen with Dre Greenlaw right now. They don't. They said they want to do everything in their possibility, in their ability to bring him back. They want 100% to bring back Dre Greenlaw, but they don't know if they can make it happen. There's going to be a market for him. They got to pay certain guys. They want him back. They're going to try their hardest. But right now, as of right now, there's no guarantee that Dre Greenlaw will be back. So he could be gone. He could stay. We don't know. 50-50. Everybody's freaking out. I'm freaking out. You're freaking out. The significant others are freaking out on social media. We won't know for another couple of months. I think they're definitely committed to him, but we don't know what the asking price is going to be. So it's going to be crazy. Crazy. Woo! It's going to be crazy. Thoughts on the Arizona hosting Vikings Rams Monday Night Football? I think I just saw that go by the update. That's good, man. That's crazy. I mean, it's sad that LA's going through what it's going. Prayers up to anybody out in LA. I was in LA on Monday. We left Tuesday morning, and it was windy AF driving back. And I was like, well, it's kind of uncharacteristic. A lot of winds. I could see, like, there was some brush fires on the freeway, but we left early. So by the time I got back, when I looked at my phone and saw the updates and the news, I saw all the fires. I was like, oh, my God, my sister lives in LA. I got a good friend that lives in LA. Got a lot of cousins that live in LA. So I was hitting them all up, saying, you guys okay? It is crazy out there. So I'm sure, they're all affected out there. I think it's good that Arizona's going to open up their home. It's, technically a home game for LA, but it's a weird situation. Last minute, you got to do what you got to do. A couple of years ago during COVID, Arizona let us host some games. So it's a crazy situation, but hopefully all those affected by the fires are okay, because it is wild out there. Stay safe out there. So it's so bad out here. Yeah, dude, 50 billion in damage. They said it's the worst fire of all time in LA. It's crazy. So my man Matt says, I was clinging to hope that photos would come up and I get a shout out while you're on with Larry Krueger. Well, it didn't come up, but appreciate you, my man Matt Frazier. You're a dog. We loved your work this year. He was credentialed media for KNBR, and his work was crazy. You probably saw a lot of the posts that I, reshared his video, his pictures. I made a lot of content with his pictures. His pictures were probably the cleanest out of all the photographers I saw this year. So shout out to my boy Matt Frazier. It was a dope seeing you out there getting all those pictures. And he's just not like standing still on the sideline. He's running. I remember he was live one day talking about how he gets it. He's like running with the running back, trying to get the perfect shot. So your work is dope. It doesn't go unnoticed. But flash back to the Niners. So as we said, Javon Hargrave, he gone. Deebo Samuel, he'll probably stay. Dre Greenlaw, we don't know yet. So now it brings us to Brock Purdy, the quarterback, the franchise. They love him. He said he's our guy. Kyle Shanahan said he's our guy. John Lynch is like, we're committed to him. And then the other question is, or the other big statement was, Kyle Shanahan says, as long as I'm here, he's our quarterback. I am going to stick with him until the end. Like, they love Brock Purdy. Like, there's no question that he's going to be quarterback one. I know we're going to sit here. We're going to hear rumors about Aaron Rodgers. You're going to hear rumors about Kirk Cousins and all these quarterbacks. They're not going to take this guy because Brock Purdy is their top dog. Now, the big question is, how much are they going to pay it? We don't know. That is going to be the massive offseason question. But they're super committed to Brock. They love Brock. And I'm sure they're going to give him a contract that he can't refuse. And I think the biggest question is, when are they going to do it? Because Brock Purdy yesterday during his end of season locker room talk with the media, he said he wanted to get it done quick. He wants to have no drama. He does not want to sit here and drag it out. So I think they're on a good path right now. Ricky Persall the other day said, hey, look, I want to go out there. We're going to do some throwing sessions. We want to stay together. We want to build that chemistry. So I feel like everybody's on board this year to get things done early, but we'll see, because the agent has other things on his agenda. But if it's up to Brock, he'll get that contract signed tonight. You know what I mean? So I hope that it gets done sooner rather than later, because if they drag out a quarterback contract, that's the worst thing you can do. It's bad to drag out any contract, but if they drag out Brock's contract, man, you're just setting the team back even more, because you need him out there, OTAs, you need him practicing, you need him out there building rapport with all the young players and the running backs and the O-line and the wide receivers and everybody. So hopefully they can get it done quickly. My man Julia says, all love, but you say Purdy isn't worth 55 to 60 million. Are you also saying that he's not deserving of 55 to 60? Because I know he's both where I love Brock. He's a great guy. He's a good dude, but he's not an elite quarterback. I like him. But just to pay him $60 million, just to pay him because, you know, he's top of the market is what it is. You pay him 45 to 55. I think that's fair. He's good, but he does have limitations. They have to build this offensive line. You also need to sign some of these guys like Dre Greenlaw. And the other guy you have to make sure you give an extension to that nobody's talking to. And I know he said he wants to stick around. He wants to be a Niner for life. And he also said that he wants to make sure he does what the front office wants to do. But I'm sure he wants to get paid. It's George Kittle. This man, he has probably, I think he has one more year on his contract, but this man is due for like George Kittle deserves another 2 to 3 year contract extension. Let him play a few more years. Let him, you know, retire with the Niners. Give him a good contract. They're not going to lowball George Kittle, because George Kittle is an absolute legend. He's a Hall of Famer. They got to have some money to pay George Kittle, man. And I love Brock and everything, all that good stuff, but you got to have some money set aside for guys like Greenlaw, for guys like George Kittle. So if you pay Brock Purdy $60 million, I don't know how you expect to get George Kittle, Dre Greenlaw. They have a lot of high contracts. That's why they got to get rid of Javon Hargrave and you know, restructure a lot of deals. They restructure contracts every season, and it gets to the point where they're like, some of these guys are like, I don't know if I want to restructure. So that's the whole point I'm making with Brock Purdy contract. Don't pay him $60 million just because you want him to be at top of market, because he may be better than Dak Prescott, but that's the Dallas Cowboys' decision to pay him $60 million. That's crazy. You might cripple your team. Now, moving off of that subject, I want to get to another one, because this is a guy that we all love, another guy that was the future's in question for him. But today, John Lynch, he says he expects Trent Williams to come back. He's on board. He's not going to retire. I am going to take that with a grain of salt, because I know he said that. I know he's saying he's not going to retire. I don't know. I still think Trent has a lot to consider. He said the same thing about Joe Staley a couple years ago. I know me and my boys, C-Mac, we have a bet. He told me pay up $100. I said, oh, not so fast. The season hasn't started yet. It's day one of the offseason, basically. I don't know. I still think that Trent will have to really evaluate, what he wants to do. I think he can still play one more year, but will he really want to come back and put his body through everything he had to go through? He had a really bad bruise on the ankle. It healed slowly. He had a lot of adversity. But John Lynch is saying that Trent Williams will be back in 2025. So we'll see. But he did say this a couple years ago about Joe Staley, and he retired. So I don't know. I'm going to just wait it out. Now, if Trent Williams doesn't retire, 100% paying up to Piper, but we'll wait and see. Trent, we do need Trent to come back this year, but we also need to make sure we get some offensive linemen, some really good ones, because Trent's not going to be here forever. Trent ain't playing football through his 40s and 50s. And at some point, you need to replace him on this line. So, my man 49ers Throwback says, if Brandon Staley becomes the defense coordinator, I'm going to lose my shit. If he becomes the defense coordinator, I think we're all going to be we're all going to be sick. I'm pretty sure those are all the big topics. See if you guys have any questions. If I missed anything, let me know. I think those are all pretty much the biggest, juiciest tidbits. Now, there was one segment, and I posted it on my Instagram. Like, dude, when they were talking about special teams, the media was like, hey, Kyle, why don't you take special teams seriously? And he went, and John Lynch was like, hold up. John Lynch was like, hold up. Kyle takes everything seriously. He spends a lot of time. We're not kicking experts, but we spend a lot of time on special teams. And then Kyle's like, hold up, I can answer this. Hold my beer. And he just was like, hey, we got George Odom, we got Demetrius Flanagan-Fouts. We spent a third round pick on a kicker. They went, they were spicy today. I respect it. I liked it. But honestly, their special teams has sold them a couple of years. So it's a valid question. I know a lot of people are like, it's bad. It was a very valid question to ask. Like, do you not take special teams seriously? Because it seems like they did it. But I'm glad they fired Brian Schneider. I think this year they're trying to show you that, hey, we take things very seriously. But, man, drafting that third-round kicker, Jake Moody, was an absolute abysmal choice. And if he's not released next, Niner fans are going to be sick to our stomachs, right? They got rid of Ronnie Bell today. I'm waiting for a Jake Moody post soon enough. Crazy. Let's see. Mon says, we lost 9 running backs. We drafted 5 we lose running backs all the time. We draft running backs. This is a system where you need to keep adding running backs to. So 100%, they're probably going to draft a running back. My man, everyone worst nightmare says, you say Brocky's an elite. Who is elite in your opinion? That's a good question. Top quarterbacks, I got Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, you got Lamar Jackson, and Patrick Mahomes. Those are your elite quarterbacks. Herbert's like on the cusp. He's good. He's finally got a good coach to kind of, get everything out of him. But, I mean, the numbers he puts up is crazy. But those are your guys. Joe Burrow, absolutely amazing. Probably best quarterback in the league. And then you got, like I said, Josh Allen, guy's amazing. He doesn't really need a star receiver out there. He got better without Diggs, and he just does so much for this. See, Lamar Jackson, that guy is unbelievable. He can throw, he can run. He's total athlete. He wins games. And, of course, Patrick, I know he had a down year this year, but it's Patrick Mahomes, man. The guy's unbelievable. So, do I think Salah coaching the Robert Salah? Yeah, having Robert Salah would be amazing. I think everybody wants it back. I think the Niners, obviously, that's why they want to hire him as the DC again. They know he built this like this was his defense. He was the first guy that took this wide 9 and made it what it was, And I think Robert Salah coming back would be fantastic. I think the energy he brings is unbelievable. And I know a lot of people give him crap because he didn't win a lot with the Jets. I mean, their offense was bad. He's not an offensive guy, and I think that was his flaw as a head coach. But that defense was so good when Salah was coaching the Jets. So I really think that Robert Salah coming back would be an absolute home run hire. It's kind of crazy because you bring back a guy that you lost a couple years ago, but you didn't lose him because he was bad or he got fired. You lost him because he upgraded. But will he take a second job with the team that got rid of him? It would be a weird situation, but it wouldn't be like an awkward situation. It would just be like, well, okay, here comes Robert Salah back, But he had to get his chance. He had an opportunity to become a head coach. It's a hell of an opportunity, right? So I don't know. I do think that if he gets the right offer from the right team, he'll take the head coaching job, and that would be amazing. I wouldn't be mad at Robert Salah if he takes a head coaching job somewhere because, I mean, those opportunities are not abundant. But he could also say, I don't want to take a head coaching job right now. Let me go to the Niners and build my resume and be a dog with the DC role and win him a Super Bowl, because that's what Spags does. The coach for the Chiefs, the defensive coordinator today, that guy's an amazing coach, but he's always been like this ferocious DC. He doesn't take these head coaching jobs, but year after year now that he's winning Super Bowls and his defense is the best of the best with Andy Reid, now teams are like, dude, we need you, Spags. And he's got some interviews lined up to be a head coach. Maybe he leaves. Maybe this is the year he says, I'm going to make my own team and become a head coach. So we'll see. So maybe Robert Salah will say, hey, you know what? Maybe if I go to the Niners and continue to be a DC and showcase just how good, I'll get an even better opportunity as a head coach. So I would love Robert Salah back, but I'm not going to be mad at him if he takes the head coaching positions. So, oh man, Chris says, a lot of people are saying that the 11th pick should be traded for Myles Garrett. Woo! Woo! Okay, I know I want an offensive lineman, but are you kidding me? If the Niners were able to trade the 11th pick and get Myles Garrett, he's better than anybody at the 11th pick. He is probably the best defensive end in the NFL. You can argue TJ Watt. Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa would feed families for generations. Are you kidding me? That right there, yes, we need an O-line, but that would be the exception to the rule. Are you kidding me? That would be, oh my God, this defense. You get Robert Salah back, Myles Garrett, and Nick Bosa together. Over. Super Bowl. It's the Super Bowl in my city. Couple first-round picks to C-Mac. It probably would take a couple first-round picks, but 11th would be a good start. Oh, my God. That would be good. That would be good. Any update on the health and physical coordinators? No updates on them. They didn't give anything about those type of updates. Just what we talked about so far, DC, special teams coordinator, all that good stuff. That'd be crazy. Steven Reynolds says, Niners history with the 11th pick were Patrick Willis and Anthony Davis. Oh, those are two good 11th picks. Maybe the next one will be just as good. Those are good picks. Anthony Davis was solid. Patrick Willis, Hall of Famer. So, pretty good. Thoughts on Huff and Ward? Says GSX. I think Mooney Ward's gone. I mean, the writing's pretty much on the wall, right? We saw his interview the other day, and I don't blame him. He has a lot of PTSD. He has a lot of bad memories being in California. He says it's hard for him to sleep, So I think Mooney Ward's probably not coming back just because it's tough, man. Bad memories, not only for him, but his girl, his wife. And I'm sure that they're just like stressed out being here, and they got to get away from the bad memories. I mean, I completely understand if Mooney Ward is gone and he goes to another team. I mean, I'm not even going to be the slightest upset. I'm going to be sad for him. I'm going to be sad that he's gone, but I'm going to, wish him well. And I know he's going to make some big, long, farewell post, and everybody's going to love him up on that because we all love him. He said it too. He says, the Niners love me. It's not that I don't like this team. It's not that they don't love me. It's just a lot of bad memories here. So, and also the Niners have Renardo Green, who's a lot cheaper at this moment in his career. And I think he has the ability to become a really good cornerback for the 49ers. So, I love Mooney Ward, though, and I wish him nothing but the best. Hufanga, I like Huff. He's got some good, talent, but the injury really kind of hurt him. He's kind of a liability in coverage. I think he'd be nice to have as a veteran, but I don't know. I don't think Huff is like you need to sign him. He's a good veteran. Like, he's a good locker room presence. I think he'd be good depth at safety because safety position is a little murky. I mean, Malik Mustafa was fantastic. He's great. Jair Brown took an absolute big regression. He took a dump this season. And, maybe you bring in Hufanga to kind of compete for that starting safety job with Jair Brown to compare, to pair with Mustafa. But I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, my God, they got to get Hufanga. I like him. He's a great dude. Good dude. Hufanga's a good guy, but he's not my guy, is all I'm saying. And I like the guy, but there's better safeties. And he has a lot of injury risks. So, unless he wants to take a cheap prove-it deal, he gone. So, Max Crosby, go whatever it takes to get Max Crosby, but the Niners aren't getting him. He's expensive. My man Julius says, I got no disrespect, but I got receipts on you saying Brock isn't a top 10 quarterback. You're right. He's not. You can put that in writing. You can screenshot it. You can record. I don't care. Brock Purdy right now is not a top 10 quarterback. He's not. Sorry to burst your bubble. He's not. Good dude, though. He's a great guy. Love the guy. Humble king. It's just not a top 10 quarterback. Great guy. Ian says Brown is a backup at this stage. He is. He's definitely not a starting caliber safety. He's proven it. Top 10. Y'all don't like me anymore for saying that one, huh? It's all good. It's okay. He regressed this year. He's not a top 10 quarterback. If he was, we'd be in the Super Bowl or in the playoffs. Listen, he had multiple options. I know the O-line was terrible. I know the O-line was bad. I know we had lack of weapons. He still had Kittle. He still had, CMC through points. He still had good running back. He still had, some players, Debo and et cetera. There were still good players on this team. There was times where in the fourth quarter, despite all the adversity, despite all the issues, he had an opportunity to lead the team through multiple fourth quarter wins, comebacks, whatever you want to call it. And he sold at every single one of those opportunities, multiple picks. He regressed this season. It's okay. I like the guy. I think he's a good quarterback. He's just not top 10. Maybe he can get back to that point. He's only been in the league for 3 years. He has an ability to get back to that, but this year wasn't that. And teams challenged him. Ever since that Ravens Christmas game, he's absolutely taken, a free fall from where he was. And I know he's led this team to Super Bowl, to NFC Championship, and he was really good during those years. And I was like, wow, Brock's that guy. But this year he struggled. And because of that, just because I'm a Niner fan, I'm not going to sit here, oh my God, he's top 10. I love Brock. Oh my God. He had a bad year, and we have to respect it. Now, can he get back and become this elite quarterback? He absolutely can. But he's got a lot to prove next season, especially if he gets a big contract. So keep the receipts on me. Please do. Please do. We can disagree. Absolutely. You can definitely disagree with me. 100%. 100%. He was not synchronized with his receivers this year. I think that's a good point, Jorge. Not coming to training camp, not having BA at points this season. Debo missing time. Ricky Pearsall didn't really get a chance to really develop with them. So, yeah, absolutely. But they did have Jennings. He's a dog, and he was amazing. But, there was a lot of issues with this offense. And not just the O-line. There was a lot of issues. But Purdy's still a great guy. He's a great kid. Like, I love how nice he is, how humble he is. He speaks well. He, takes accountability for his actions. He's a funny guy. He's doesn't do anything bad. But, he's got a lot to prove. But it is what it is. Special teams made it worse. I agree. Those picks against the Lions were disgusting to C-Mac. Oh, those are better. Get Moody away. I think they'll get rid of Jake Moody. I think so. From what I hear is they'll probably bring in a kicker to compete with Jake Moody. But if I'm Kyle Shanahan, just pull the Band-Aid off, and go get rid of Jake Moody. Just please do it. Get rid of that guy. Who do I want the 49ers to take with their 11th pick? Trade it for Myles Garrett. No, honestly, just give me an offensive line. There's a couple of great offensive linemen. You can argue amongst yourself who's the best, but whoever the top offensive tackle, I need to be a little specific. Go get the best tackle in the draft and make it your top pick of the draft. Now, if they can't get one of the top tackles, I wouldn't mind them to go get a really premium defensive lineman or an edge rusher, because there's some really good game-changing D linemen this year. And, they need that ferocity, that ferociousness on their defense. Like, they just lacked it. Like Leonard Floyd, he's okay, but he's getting older, and they're paying him, like $10 million? And I just don't feel like he has that juice. He was good, but he wasn't like, oh, my God. Your Gross Matos, another guy, he's good, but he's not like, oh, my God. Because a couple years ago, we had guys like Arden Key, Charles Menahu, Samson Ebicam. They were like backups. Like Arden Key was your backup lineman, and he was really good. We need to get to the point where our backups are like, wow, they could start on any other team. You know what I mean? And I think that's what the Niners need to get back to, because our backups were like Robert Beal Jr., Drake Jackson, who's on the IR, guys like that. He just didn't have enough juice. So I wouldn't mind him getting a defensive lineman, but I think my top choice would be the best offensive tackle in the draft. So, yeah, offensive lineman dogs, defensive lineman dogs, 100%. I agree. McKivitz, I don't think they'll get rid of McKivitz. They're playing like $7 million, but I think they'll put him down as like a backup. I think McKivitz would be a good swing tackle, but if he's your starting tackle, it's bad news. So I think they need to draft some tackles this year. And if Trent Williams is coming back, you draft the other tackle to go be your starting right tackle, and then he can move into Trent's spot next year when he probably retires. And then you have, McKivitz and Jalen Moore as your backups. Now your offensive line looks a lot better, especially your talent on the tackles position. So I want them to draft an OT, move McKivitz out, make him the swing tackle or whatever depth piece. And Jalen Moore looked pretty good this season. He could be a good swing tackle. I don't want him to start, but he showed some really good talent filling in for Trent Williams this year. So Kelvin Banks, he is a dog. Yeah, got to bring in Kelvin Banks to the O-line. If the Niners go get Kelvin Banks as their 11th pick, I'd be hyped up. Pooney is amazing. He is. I think Pooney was great, but it was tough to see your best offensive lineman was a rookie. That's tough, man. I mean, obviously Trent's the best, but he missed a lot of time. So Dominic Pooney, man, he was a dog. He absolutely was. So My man says, we've seen Sam Darnold have a good year with the Vikings. Would you say Sam Darnold could do that in San Francisco? No, I don't think so. We saw him on this team before, but obviously he wasn't starting. But you got to look at the Vikings team. They got a great defense. They got a good running game. They got a great O-line, and they have two of the best man cover receivers in the league, Addison and JJ. I think for the first time in his career, Sam Darnold has been comfortable and he feels like safe. He's on a team with a great situation. Like they said with Brock last year. Oh, he's in a good situation. He's got the Avengers. Sam Darnold sits back. He has a lot of time to throw. And then he's like, oh, Justin Jefferson. Oh, he's doubled Addison. Boom. Easy to I wouldn't say it's easy because it's not easy playing quarterback in the NFL, but he has an easier situation compared to the other teams he's ever been on. He was on really bad teams with really bad coaches. And this year, Sam Darnold, he played really good because he had a great situation and he was comfortable and he didn't fear anything, But last week, as I stated, that would happen. He played a really dominating Lions team and they cooked his ass like grass. We'll see how he does this week against the Rams. But will the real Sam Darnold stand up in the playoffs? I think they will. And you guys are not going to be too impressed with Sam Darnold during the playoffs. But I will give him credit. Great season. Great season. Resign Dobbs? I think they might. But I think Dobbs is really trying to showcase himself for the rest of the league in case the Niners don't. Niners quarterback room is going to be a really big question. Obviously, you got Brock. Who will they be as his backups? I think they like Tanner Mordecai. I think he'll stick around maybe QB3 this year. I don't see Brandon Allen coming back. Maybe Dobbs comes back. But I think they're going to look around the league and see if they can get a better QB2 to maybe have some good insurance or maybe put some pressure on Brock. Because, I like Brock, and I'll get to your question, who's 10 quarterbacks better than him? He needs another quarterback in that room, like a good veteran, to put a little pressure, so he's not too comfortable. He's too comfortable out there. He doesn't look over his shoulder and be like, oh, guy's pretty good. Maybe I should try a little harder. It's not saying that you're getting a quarterback that's going to take his job, but you're bringing in a quarterback in OTAs to push him and make him better. That's what you need to do. You want to be a top 10 quarterback? Go get a good quarterback to push his ass. Maybe Kirk Cousins. I know you guys don't like him, but he'd be a good QB2, good backup. And in case anything happens with Brock Purdy, I think Kirk Cousins would be able to come in and play, a couple of games and win some. Danny Dimes. I know you hate him. I think he'd be a good QB2. That's my opinion. I know you can disagree. Top 10 quarterbacks, you got Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes. You got Justin Herbert. You got Joe Burrow. Those guys are all better than Brock. Who else? Just Jalen Hurts? I think so. Baker Mayfield? Absolutely. Jared Goff? Yes. Matt Stafford? There you go. Those are your quarterbacks that are better than Brock Purdy. You can disagree all you want, but this year, they all proved it. Are they in the playoffs? Absolutely, they are. Bo Nix, that's the other guy. Jaden Daniels, those guys, all better. There you go. All of them. Lamar Jackson sucks, and he's a MVP candidate. This guy, unbelievable. He might lose in the playoffs because he doesn't win in the playoffs, but regular season, probably not too many better quarterbacks during the regular season. But playoffs, he definitely doesn't perform his best in the playoffs. But he's I'd take Lamar Jackson on Niners. Are you kidding me? I'd take him. Back-to-back MVPs, but he sucks. Okay. Von Miller and Khalil Mack, free agent this year. I'm going to pass on those two guys. They're great players, but they're almost my age, and that's never good in the NFL. You don't want to get these old washed-up guys that might pull a hamstring. We want young studs on that D-line. I love Khalil Mack. 5 years ago would have been a massive move. Von Miller 6 years ago would have been absolutely amazing, but those two guys are getting a little up there in age. We already got Leonard Floyd. He's, 31, 32? Go get some young studs on the defensive line. That's what they need to do. So, there you go. Myles Garrett would be dope. Yep. Let's see. Purdy was a serious MVP candidate this year. I know. The whole team's bad. But Purdy definitely took a step back for sure. But they'll pay him his money, and he'll be good. And he'll be great. And they got an easy schedule next season, and his stats will be up, and it'll be fun to watch. So, yep. JD5 carried Washington this year. Woo! That's a dog. JD5 is amazing. He's going to be good. He's going to be a really good quarterback. What's going on with Juice? So, he's one of those guys that could be in line for restructuring of his contract, or maybe they release him because he is making a lot of money for a position that's really not utilized in the NFL. Now, the Niners use the fullback, and, they love what he does, but last year they asked him to take a pay cut, and he didn't really like it. He voiced his, opinion on it. This year they might have to do the same, and if he doesn't like it again, he might have to leave. He said it the other day. He would like to stay with the Niners, but if he doesn't have that ability, he's okay with it, and he would take any other team because he still plans on playing past this 2025 season. So Kyle Juszczyk's one of those guys where the 49ers may move on with. They didn't really talk about him today, but basically the other day when he was, talking to the media, he said to Nick Wagner that, hey, I want to play. I don't know if the Niners want me back. I'm sure they do, but at some point you got to take a little less money for a position that most teams don't have. So it's going to be on the fence. I think Juice is one of those guys that is on the fence of if they bring back. And if I had to make a prediction, he gone. That's what I think. So Justin Fields is a free agent. Would you sign him as a backup? Not really, but I mean, it's better than a lot of he'd probably be better than Dobbs and Brandon Allen. So in the sense of what I said, get a quarterback that could maybe push Brock and give him a little competition. Yes, but I don't think Justin Fields is that great. And I don't know if he'd really give him a lot of competition, but he isn't a horrible choice for your quarterback too. So yeah, in the sense of upgrading the quarterback room, yeah, I wouldn't hate it for them to sign Justin Fields, but I don't really think he would put any pressure on Brock, to elevate it, competition, giving a little bit more, edge to Brock. That's what I want. I want a little, competition breeds success, but I don't think Justin Fields would make him like worry about too much. But yeah, he's okay. Rodgers or Cousins? Honestly, man, Rodgers looked not too bad at the end of last season. He looked like he really healed from that Achilles a lot better than Cousins. But I don't know if he wants to return. I don't know how much he has left. And if Rodgers comes to the Niners, he's not taking a backup role. I think Cousins is more realistic to be a backup quarterback because he's finally got relegated to backup C with the Falcons. And maybe he's like, okay, I'll be a mentor in case there's a chance. So Kirk Cousins is now becoming like Joe Flacco. This season is Joe Flacco era where he knows he's not going to start. He'll be back there holding the clipboard. If anything happens, okay, I can go and take a starting role for a few days or a few games and help this team win. I think that's where Kirk Cousins is in his career now. I don't think Aaron Rodgers will ever be a backup quarterback. I just don't see it. So I think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire though. Do I think the Texans will do any damage in the playoffs, says Renee? I really want them to. I love D'Amico. I'm cheering for him. CJ Stroud, he really took a regression this year too. That's another guy that, fell back. And I'm not going to just sit here and say it was Brock because CJ Stroud, I don't know what happened. Look at Bryce Young. He figured it out. He's kind of on an upward trajectory. CJ Stroud fell apart. I think he'll still be a good quarterback, but this was a rough year for CJ. They had a lot of injuries too with the wide receivers. They got a lot of nicked up players. Jimmy Ward's out. Azeez Al-Shahir's been, dealing with the suspension, but he'll be back. I think the Texans are going to lose this weekend. I think they'll fight hard, but I just think this wasn't their year. And they'll be back next year in the playoffs and, they'll fight hard again. But CJ Stroud really took a step back. But hopefully he proves me wrong and he can really step in and showcase what he did last year. Last year was amazing. But it's also hard to replicate that rookie season he had was incredible. One of the best rookie seasons ever for a quarterback. So, it's easy to see why he, regressed as a sophomore, maybe a sophomore slump, but there's a lot of pressure going into this year after that amazing rookie season. And I think they caught a lot of teams off guard last year. I think nobody expected, the Texans to be that good. They had a rookie head coach, a rookie quarterback. And I just think that they were really a team that went under the radar and people are like, wow, they're good. And a lot of teams try to prepare for them more. So I think they'll lose in the playoffs, but I still think they'll be able to contend and get back to the playoffs next year. But I'll be rooting for D'Amico, but I don't see him getting past this first round, unfortunately. Yeah, the O-line was terrible, David. That O-line they need to fix that. They definitely need to because they went in a lot this offseason on the defensive side of things. I think this year they really need to beef up that O-line. That's a good point. This offseason off to a better start than the actual season. I'm telling you, man, this offseason has been so good so far. Like they got rid of all the problems. You got rid of Brian Schneider. You got rid of Brock Purdy. You got rid of Nick Sorensen. You told us you're going to pay Brock Purdy. You got rid of Ronnie Bell. Like, you're doing everything that needs to be done. And it's off to a really good start, man. Like, every day I'm like, oh, what's going to happen there? Oh, this is good news. This is great news. Like, we're getting a lot of dubs right now. It's a good offseason. Not all the problems. You're right. Not all of them. But every day we're getting another problem checked off the list. The next one, I know. The next problem is Jake Moody. If they get Jake Moody out tonight, bro, can you imagine tonight if Jake Moody gets cut? Oh my God, I think we're all going to be throwing parties. Like, can you imagine? Like, I feel bad saying it. Like, I know these people are people with lives and families and this and that, but sometimes business is business. Business is business. Vrabel at DC. Thoughts on Staley at DC? Yeah, Vrabel would be cool, but I think he's going to take the head coaching job for the Patriots. That's my expectation. Brandon Staley as DC would be absolutely terrible. I think that'd be a stupid move because you could have just hired him last year. That's like the stupidest thing. It's like you wanted to give your friend Nick Sorensen a chance. Okay, you want this job? We're going to give you the chance. We're going to keep Brandon Staley here. We're going to see what he can do to help us. We're going to keep him on the roster or on the staff. Oh, you're not good enough. Oh, you can stay around. And then now we're going to promote him. He was your backup. Now, it's just, to me, it'd be so awkward. It's weird. Like, they're still on the team and they just like shifted roles. And he could have just hired Brandon Staley as your DC last year. You would have got roasted last year. You're going to get roasted this year. It's bad. I just want change. I just think that they need to change the defensive scheme. If you don't bring back Robert Salah, get a good DC and change the damn scheme. And Kyle said he's open to it today. So. Did he ever step in, says Blood Moon? What did Staley do? So according to Kyle, a few weeks ago, I think it was Larry Krueger that asked him, because we talked about it on his stream the other week. They asked him straight up, what did Brandon Staley do? Like, what was his role? He was the coach. He kind of like helped the secondary. He was more of like the DB coach, not the official DB coach, but he helped coach like the nickelbacks and those types of players. So he was more involved in like the secondary. That's what he said, but I don't know. I mean, it makes sense because I do remember when I was at training camp and he was always talking with, the cornerbacks. He was there with Lenore working with him. So it makes sense that he was like part of that secondary coaching staff. So that's what Brandon Staley did. But I'm sure he was like a consultant. I'm sure that, Shanahan would ask him questions. I'm sure Nick Sorensen ran questions through him because Nick Sorensen looked absolutely clueless to me. This man was the most clueless coach. His questions were always bad. He just never knew what he was talking about. He just would say communication breakdown. He never would answer a question. I'm so happy he's not at the DC, but he's still on the team. I'm going to be mad if they make him the special teams coordinator. Like, it's just weird because you could have done this last year. You could have done this last year and made him your special teams coordinator. Like, it's just weird. It's like you walked backwards to me. I don't know. He was hot about that special teams question, Kyle. Oh, they say, you don't take special teams seriously. He was like, you what? How do I not take? They were sick. Yeah, it was sick. First year DC was a strange hire. I agree. You're happy. Renee says, I'm happy they got an OC. Oh, again, we talked about that at the top of the hour. I'm really happy they got Clay Kubiak, that OC role. And I know Kyle's still calling plays, but it just shows that, hey, he knows he needs to add some help and get some creativity and just someone to take some pressure off of him. I think that's a great move. So Dunk says, what's your Super Bowl prediction? The Super Bowl I want is the Bills versus, maybe Washington. Probably the Lions would be cool. Lions, Bills would be a fun Super Bowl to watch. We're probably not going to get that. We're probably going to get Kansas City versus Detroit. That's my prediction. I think it's going to be Detroit versus Kansas City. I hope I'm wrong because I hate Kansas City. But until someone beats them in the playoffs, hard to vote against them. So the Lions, Vlad? Kyle always looks so stressed. He didn't look too stressed today. I feel like it was like a weight was lifted off his shoulder that the season ended this year early. He even said today, he's like, we get extra weeks to practice. I hope everybody's ready to go and excited. And you could kind of feel like the energy. Like he was like, I think he's happy he's not playing the playoffs this year because I think it's been really weighing on him over the years. Like every year he's just stress. So I think these extra couple of weeks off, because they didn't make playoffs is going to be beneficial for the team. And I think that's what Kyle is really thinking, like, oh, this is going to be good for us. I know it sucks we didn't make the playoffs, but I think he realizes mentally this is going to really clear it up for us. So we'll see. Blood Moon says, do people even know Shanny did try to get Bill and Ulbrich? Yeah, they did try last year. I think that's why they went and got Nick Sorensen. We talked about this the other night on Larry Krueger. And my take is, I think they try to go big. They try to get Spags. They try to get Ulbrich. Salah said no. They try to get Bill. Bill was like, yeah, no, boy. I think they try to go after the big name, but I think that they panicked and they're like, oh, shit, we didn't get the guys we wanted. Okay, we'll look in-house. And I think Kyle wanted Brandon Staley, but at the same time, he's like, well, if I take him, I'm going to get roasted. We'll bring him in, but we got to name another guy as a DC and give him an opportunity on the team. And again, he really likes Sorensen. That's his boy. And it just failed. I think they settled. They went for Plan Q. They went to Plan Q instead of one of the top plans, Plan ABC. They're, oh, shit, we're on Plan Q. We'll just go with this. We'll go with it. Okay. And then he knows, hey, if he doesn't work out, he could just be the scapegoat. And not only that, it's kind of crazy to think this is going to be Kyle's 5th defensive coordinator now. He had Salah, D'Amico, both those guys went on as head coaches. Great for them. And then you got Steve Wilkes, Sorensen, and now number 5. Who's it going to be? Nick Sorensen lied on his resume. He probably did. Keeping Wilkes would have been better than getting rid of him. I mean, that was a while. I mean, I think Kyle just hated his guts because you could tell they were beefing throughout the season. It was beefing. So I think Kyle just needed to get rid of him. I don't think he liked him. I think Wilkes challenged him. And, Kyle doesn't he likes to be in control. He needs to have that power. And I think Wilkes was like, yeah, I'm going to do it this way. And I think Kyle was like, you're going to do it my way, buddy. And I feel like Sorensen was easier to control. Like, I think he was like a puppet. Like Sorensen, who's Sorensen? He doesn't even know what he had for breakfast this morning, most likely. So I feel like Kyle took him and he was able to like manipulate him. And it was easy for him. So Steve Wilkes, he was going to stand on business no matter what, man. Steve Wilkes was tough. Even though he may not have been a good DC for us, like, he was okay. He wasn't like horrible. He wasn't great. He was middle of the pack, but that boy was tough. That guy was tough. And he had like 20 years of coaching experience. It's crazy. So, Surfer Boy Sorensen. All right. I cooked Sorensen. I did. I cooked his ass. Anyways, my pick for DC, go give me Big Bob, Robert Saleh. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you guys. Hope you guys have a good rest of your night. Thanks for tuning in. Niners, a lot to talk about today. There's going to be a lot more to talk about the rest of this week. Hopefully the DC search comes down and it doesn't drag on too long. But again, Robert Saleh's got some head coaching interviews. I think it's going to take at least a week because he's got to go through those and decide what he's going to do. So hopefully the Niners don't drag this out too long. But I think a week and a half, we'll figure it out. And we'll be talking more Niners throughout the week. And you guys have a good rest of your day. See. Adios. Have a good one. Love you. Stay faithful. Go Niners.